Hi folks, I was just working on this Toshiba DVD combination television. Sorry for the blanking, I don't know how to do that on this camera yet, on this Canon. And by the way, if you saw that test video, well, this isn't the same camera. It could have been a bad USB cable, I don't know, but that camera died shortly after the video, after I took the SD card out of it. I did try and use USB cable first. It didn't want to seem to work correctly, so then I turned off, took the SD card out, turned it back on, and it did not function. So so I had to go back to Best Buy and grab another one of these Canons. And by the way, this Canon was an EDS R100. So this TV here, it was my granddad's TV, and it's not that anything about my granddad, but the TV failed on him. And he was using this thing up until it failed, and he didn't go buy a new flat screen. Why would he buy one? When I have a perfectly good 1998 Sharp. Yeah, he doesn't care about stuff like that. So, and anyway, so I gave him a 1998 Sharp television, same size, 19 inches, and a cheap DVD player that I found at Goodwill, and that's what he has. And in return, I kept the broken TV. But as you know, it's not broken anymore. But there's a few things I wanted to tell you. So if anyone has this model of Toshiba, or you found on the road, there's a few things you need to do if you want to use it that I found out that's going to fail on these. And it's a simple fix if you have a soldering station and you can work with solder. If not, don't go after any of these Toshiba Orion made sets. I don't care. Don't do it. Okay, first things first, DVD player did not work. It works now. I can only play a few seconds of this, or Disney will probably get me in trouble. I have the audio muted on the TV, so word with copyright. But anyway, I'll show a little bit more in a second. The DVD player, as you can see, works. First thing you need to do, let's walk behind it, the TV. You gotta be careful because he's plugged in and live, man. So you will have to, so you're getting used to this camera. You will have to remove the DVD mechanism, and on the board, there's a surrounding area called DVD amp written on the board. You need to change all those capacitors. All of them. If you ever get the error message that says unreadable disk, or disk A or something, that'll come up, check the capacitors and change them. And but before you check the capacitors, make sure that you try a CD. If it will not play a CD or a DVD, you need to open it up and change those caps. That'll fix that. Second, you need to go through the power supply and change some caps. So I did not make a video on doing this because not enough room and trying to get it done quickly. So I fixed the DVD player and it worked fine. But then the image, when it was reading a disc, like right here, would pulsate a little bit. It'd get a little flickery on me. Auto everything. I'll master this camera eventually. It would get flickery and it would buzz a little bit. But it was really minor, and I really couldn't find out what capacitors was, and also I tore a trace off the board, and I just said, I want to quit. That was a mistake, because a week later, I went to turn on, and it was squealing. As soon as you turn on, you go, king, you could hear it squealing. The picture was all stretching, not feeling the screen, bumping up and down. It still read the disc that was in it, wasn't to play it, but it was cursed. It ended up being that capacitor right now, that big tall capacitor right next to that ceramic cap. Forgive me if I don't touch it, this TV is live. Also, if you're not comfortable working on an old TV, do not mess with it. I'm not scared of electricity, I should be, but then again, I know what I'm doing, and don't do what I do. Use an isolation transformer. They can save your life. And if you're too afraid to go after the anode lead to the picture tube, do what I did. I didn't even take it off. I ain't shocked at all, because I didn't mess with it. Maybe not the best way, but that's what I did. But that capacitor right next to that white ohm resistor will fail. It's a 470 at 200 volt. The original one was a Panasonic. Not a bad brand capacitor, but unfortunately, it wasn't long for this world. So it was completely open. It was measuring 3,000 picofarad, which that should not be. So I put personally a Rubicon 105 degree instead of an 85, a better quality cap. I got a bunch of them just in case in the future or other TVs and stuff, because I buy them in bulk. But that was like a $4 cap. I changed that cap and it fixed the TV. So if you got one of these Toshibas, you need to do a recap job on it. You just gotta, if it's from the mid-2000s, this is from 2005, the style part is that Sharp and a bunch of these other TVs have better caps than this thing. And the caps that are really prone to failure on are the low-profile caps. And don't worry, you can use regular size capacitors, but instead of a cap that is this big, it's going to be half that size. So if a cap that big, it's going to be half that size. So you need to use, those are the ones that have failed. There was a bunch of those little low-profile ones on about like this big, a bunch of those low-profile ones, and they had failed on the DVD board and in the power supply. So wherever you see a small one in it, which you'll know because they're way smaller than the rest, they're failure prone. But other than that, got it working again. Saved another TV from the junk heap. They don't make these anymore, and as much as I'm not the biggest 2000s fan of televisions, I'm just not. And this one has advantages. One, it's got a built-in DVD player. Second, it does kind of have some value to me because it was my granddad's, and luckily, granddad's TV, and he might get it back if that TV that I gave him breaks. He'll get it back. That was the deal. But anyway, this TV, and it's actually the only TV from when I was 5 years old that still exists. And by the way, here's the remote for it. My granddad actually got this for a deal. He bought this as a showroom display model. And it didn't come with this remote. He had some aftermarket remote, and I found the original one for him. Thanks to CRT Database, was able to track down the one it was supposed to come with. But yeah, my granddad's used this for 20 years before it failed. Beat that flat FPC, flat plastic crap televisions of today. You won't make it 20 years and be fixable. Yes, I did have to repair this in 20 years. But as you saw, it works. It works. Flat screen. Give me a flat screen that's 20 years old and ask me to fix it. Unless it's a simple problem, I'm going to be saying, alright, where's my sledgehammer? That's the way I know how to fix a flat screen. Yeah, but anyway, not bad TVs, but a lot of gamers like these type of TVs, and granted, this is going in the spare room, and there is some game consoles to be hooked up to it, but to tell you the truth, people, I don't use old TVs to play games on. People always say, oh, they're good for retro gaming. Well, I play games very well, including new and old. I have a collection of them, but I just don't play them that often. Not that I don't have time, that's just not my nature. I don't do it. I don't. And I don't just watch old stuff on TVs. I watch even the latest and greatest brand new shows. And I do that because I enjoy them. And I don't see why I have to only use an old TV for old content. But anyway, that's how it is. So, everything. But we can actually hit play on this for a few seconds. If YouTube gets mad, it'll be cut out.
Sure, that's a very popular flavor. Huh? Whoa!